Welcome to Business Outlook, a podcast by the Albuquerque Journal where we focus on 4 revolving themes: real estate, small business, emerging leaders, and technology.
CNM is truly one college with infinite possibilities in tech and data sciences. CNM offers programs where everyone can learn about software, apps, or how to build websites. You can also choose from AI programs and machine learning, the Internet of Things, and so much more. CNM, one college, infinite possibilities, and a proud sponsor of the Albuquerque Journal's Business Outlook.
Hi, welcome back to the Albuquerque Journal's Business Outlook podcast. Today's Outlook is on small business. I'm Ryan Botel, and our guest here today is Ernie CdeBaca. Ernie is the CEO of the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Ernie, thanks a lot for being here today. To start, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, and how you ended up working as CEO for the Hispano Chamber?
Well, thanks, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm a lucky guy. That's how I got to be in this position. I grew up in Los Alamos went to Los Alamos High School, and went to college at UNM, and graduated in 1976, almost 50 years ago. And so I was working retail while I was in college. I was working at Montgomery Ward's, if anybody remembers that. And so when I got out of college, I needed a job, and JCPenney had a great management trainee program. And so they hired me and put me in the downtown JCPenney store in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is now Gizmo, if the Gizmo's still there. And, I didn't always want to work retail, but I needed a job because I was getting married and, all that good stuff. And so I took that job. But to my luck, there's a lot of people from P&M at lunchtime that would be walking around downtown, and they'd come visit me. We got to be friends. And so they'd cue me in on some jobs that were coming up at P&M. And sure enough, I got lucky. There was a job in procurement, so I became a buyer at P&M and started in March 15th, 1978. I'll remember that date. And so I worked through P&M. I had a great career at P&M, and I was very fortunate because one of the great things in large corporations is that you have an opportunity to do more than what you signed up for originally. Mm-hmm. So I signed up to be a buyer, but then I ended up doing contracts. And then I ended up working under the corporate secretary's office, doing the indenture and mortgage, and doing the quarterly reports and the annual reports and, shareholder reports. And then lucky enough, I became involved in governmental affairs in the late 80s, early 90s. I got hired to do local government for P&M, which at that time, the city of Albuquerque and P&M were having a very difficult time. They were trying to municipalize us. And so we had a difficult time with the city council. So it was a very interesting time to be a member of P&M and governmental affairs. And my boss at the time, Marie Eves, she was working in Santa Fe. And she said to me, because it was during the legislature when I started that, she said, Ernie, what I need you to do is go to every Bernalillo County meeting, commission meeting, every city council meeting, and you stay there until they leave. Mm-hmm. I don't care if anything is about P&M. I want you to sit there and observe how they vote, what their issues are, and if they have to be there, they're not really getting paid. You're getting paid, so And so I remember sitting there, and one time I'm there, and Lawrence Rael, he was pretty young at the time. I think it was under Saavedra's administration. He comes up. I'm the only guy in the audience, and it's like midnight. And he goes, "What are you doing here?" Yeah, and I said, "I'm doing what you're doing here." So I got lucky, and then I had a good run. Became the vice president of governmental affairs, which is an honor. I worked at P&M for 37 years, and then in 2014, I left and joined the Hispano Chamber. And then, a few years later, was lucky enough to become voted in by the board to be the president and CEO after Alex Romero left, after he retired. So I've been there since, about June of 2017 in this position of president and CEO. It's the best job in the city. I love it. Mm-hmm. So we have a great staff. We do cool things. We're always busy. We get visitors from all over the world. So it's a tremendous job, and I enjoy it very much.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about just the Hispano Chamber. I mean, you still to this day recognize your founders annually.
Sure.
Tell us how and why it was created.
Well, 49 years ago, actually, we're in our 50th year. Our 50th anniversary will be sometime late May, early June. 14 founders, Hispanic men and one woman. Irma Easterling Sanchez, decided that they weren't getting the representation and activity they needed and opportunities they needed at the other chamber. And so they started Hispano Chamber. People thought it was not going to make it because, it's an outreach, it's an out branch or whatever you want to call it of chambers. But Irma Easterling, one of the founders, became the very first employee. And she's got amazing stories about those days and how we had to borrow offices to really be where we're at, located, and typewriter. And, they bring in crock pots to have little gatherings, but that kind of with food. But it was with Ed Romero's office. They were lucky enough to be. Ed Romero was not, of course, at that time what he is today, or of course, an ambassador to Spain later on in his life. But he helped them tremendously. We had a lot of help from those founders. And I tell you what, you're right. We have a legacy day every year in August, and we honor all our founders, and then we also honor our Herencia founders, and those are people that contribute to the tile in our conference room, which is a beautiful conference room, of a minimum investment of $15,000. We honor them in our current board and past chairs of the chamber. It's a beautiful evening. It's outside. We generally have great weather. And it's just people telling stories, reacquainting themselves, and talking about how they grew the chamber to be one of the largest Hispanic chambers in the United States. And I'm fortunate because of all that to sit on the United States Hispanic Chamber Board of Directors, which is an honor as well. We have 21 board members. So, yeah, it's been quite a ride, Ryan. And like I said, it's really cool because we do things that other chambers don't do. And that's what kind of separates us. That's what, makes us different than the others. And I'm happy to go into that anytime you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it was created almost 50 years ago by a group of Hispanic business leaders who just didn't feel like the Hispanic community was supported by an advocacy organization. Yeah. And over time, I mean, we were talking earlier, there's 1,200 businesses that are members of the Hispano Chamber, including the Albuquerque Journal.
Sure.
So it's kind of become more of a small business chamber, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. We did grow to be the Hispano Chamber, mainly focused on helping Hispanic-owned businesses. But in New Mexico, we're a melting pot of people, mm-hmm. and we're all Hispanic, we're all Native American, we're all Anglos, we're all together,
sure,
and we have a great community. So we're very inclusive. We have about 60% of our owners or business members are Hispanic, and about 40% are non-Hispanic. We range from the Amazon is our largest member to small solopreneurs, and our goal is a little bit different than other chambers in a way where even though when I was at P&M I was a vice president of governmental affairs, so I understood policy and understand going to the legislature and what you do for that. We kind of take a back seat we're kind of policy light. We get involved when we think something's going to be really detrimental to especially small businesses, but we support the other chamber, the Greater Albuquerque Chamber, the New Mexico Chamber, and other chambers on bills that we either want to promote or we want to vote against or try to defeat. But we're mostly about growing and scaling small businesses. We offer programs throughout the year to help them do that. We often say that people, especially family-run businesses, they work in their business but not on their business. And if you don't work on your business, you may not ever scale to the point where you want to, because the point of owning a business is to create generational wealth. And that's what you want to do for your families, is to be able to maybe hand it down, and let your kids or whoever it is grow the business more and prosper, and they always have a job. So that's kind of the goal of small entrepreneurial businesses. And we love to support them in every way we can with that.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I mean, you spent your career at P&M, one of the biggest companies in New Mexico, and now you're, an advocate for entrepreneurs who are trying to start small businesses. I mean, what is your what's it like just interacting and providing resources to these, people who are taking a risk on their livelihood and hoping to build and grow a business?
I tell you, I mean, it is so refreshing and exciting when you hear some business that's doing well, where you've connected them to another business, or they've taken one of our procurement series and ended up going to Kirtland or whoever and getting a contract because they learned how to do procurement and getting a sizable contract. We've had a lot of successes with that. It's also inspiring to see how these folks, it's blood, sweat, and tears. I tell you, I mean, it's one of my stories that I recall is, there was a certain auto mechanic store and a repair shop, and I remember he said he had to sell 2 of his cars to make payroll. So that's the kind of things that entrepreneurs do, business owners. They take care of their employees first, and they take care of themselves and their families afterwards. And just think of how tough that might be at home when that happens, So I just admire the heck out of them. So it's refreshing to me because at P&M, I was fortunate to get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and I was an officer, so I got a good-sized paycheck, right? And bonuses and all that stuff. And you see what these folks do, and it just makes you very happy. You want to do anything you can to help connect these businesses to other businesses and to help them grow and scale. That's our goal.
And how do you accomplish that goal? What services are you trying to provide to businesses to help them scale and grow?
Sure. We have a wide range of things. So first of all, we have a membership department that does amazing things all the time. We have what's called What's Brewing in the Queue. It's the second Thursday of the month. We have our membership orientation meetings. It's the third Friday of the month. And then the last Wednesday of the month, we have Biz Gratises. These are networking opportunities which they celebrate businesses throughout the city because we host them there. But at the same time, they have an opportunity to connect because we believe any business or any business person is one connection away from realizing their dream. Networking, people think is just networking. It's just going out there and getting appetizers and having a drink. No, it's handing business cards. It's getting to know somebody. It's that one opportunity that you might not have had that might have either scaled your business or changed your business. And we've had, some examples of that before where, I wish I could think of them right now, where somebody thinks that they're going to do this and they end up doing something completely different because of something that they learned from another person and how they did things. And then we have programs. We have a lot of Grow Your Small Business programs. We have one called Avanzad. We have some for Spanish-speaking community as well, Emprendedoras. We have programs to help during the day to help. We bring in speakers, teachers that will help them understand what they need to do in marketing or in finance or HR. So we do everything we can to help them in the different ways that they need help. So that's what we really are experts in. Yeah.
Okay, so and I also want to go back a few years. You guided the Hispano Chamber through the COVID pandemic, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? What were those issues that you really had to respond to during the pandemic? And
it was crazy because you had to try to support businesses that really weren't even there, and you had to try to find ways to help them during that time. We had a lot of webinars. We did a lot of things. We, as a chamber, because of COVID, we were on Zoom all the time with each other. We have a staff meeting in the morning. We'd have a staff meeting in the afternoon every day because we wanted to keep in touch. We kept in touch with our members, find out what they needed. Did they need some stuff for the hand sanitizers? Do they need gloves? Do they need masks? Whatever they need? And we became a big supplier of that because people would, from the state, even from the Navajo Nation, some other folks, they would give us things for us to hand out to other businesses. We worked really closely with the Gladiators to go celebrate some of these first responders that were working during the COVID, and we'd always go out there with Duke City, have a big celebration because they needed to get out, and we'd bring them food and we'd do some celebration. But mostly it was an opportunity for businesses to take a little bit of time out to learn how they can grow and scale their business because they weren't getting any business at the time. But we were also helping them with some of the programs to make sure that they would work with the federal government to make sure that they signed up for the programs to get paid for some of the initiatives that they had at the federal government. I wish I could think of the names right now, but I can't.
Yeah.
But so we helped them sign up for that. I would be in the office a lot because I just couldn't be in a deal. But we have 22,000 square foot facility. So we were very spread out. We'd have maybe 4 or 5 of us would be in these offices, but we'd be, because, it's much easier to have your files, your computer, all that stuff. So we kind of worked through it, but we were in contact with small businesses the entire time.
Okay. So you talk to a lot of business owners just about issues that they're facing here in the greater Albuquerque area. What are some of those big issues that you're hearing from your members just about issues that they're facing running a business?
Well, I think the 2 biggest issues are crime and also employees. Mm-hmm. So I'll first say about crime. Crime has impacted small businesses like crazy because a lot of them are storefronts. They have windows. People are going in and out just taking things. The retail theft has been crazy, as you all know. But when they vandalize and damage businesses, it's even more hurtful in some regard because that business has to then fix the broken window, deal with the insurance company. Insurance company is tired of dealing claims. Insurance rates go up or they won't insure you anymore. So then all of a sudden you have to make an investment that you don't think you wanted in the first place, some kind of a steel door or windows to block the glass. So we've had all kinds of that. We've had it at the chamber as well. We've had a lot of people throwing rocks through windows. People are angry. Mm-hmm. I think COVID really changed the mindset of a lot of people. And so we've had a lot of that. But also just employees. Employees are different now. And sometimes maybe it's a good thing because I think businesses maybe had to pivot on what's really important. Do employees really have to come in to a brick and mortar place or not?
Yeah.
Are they being very effective outside working remotely? Probably. It's a little trust issue that you have to have with these employees to make sure things are getting done. But I think employees, because of COVID, also recognized, do I really want to work in that job, whatever it is, mm-hmm. and or do I want to become an entrepreneur myself? Do I want to do things differently? And I think we've found a lot of businesses have had a hard time in hiring and keeping employees. So that has been very difficult post-COVID. And I think anybody that's listening or whatever to this podcast, anybody who has a business will understand that is a huge issue for them, is trying to hire good and keep good employees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've hired reporters in my position, and I mean, there just sort of is an expectation, especially among, these relatively newer college grads, that they want at least some hybrid remote work opportunities, or they're not going to consider a job.
Well, yeah. And you know what? I guess in a way, it makes people think differently about their business. I'll give you an example. Larry Chavis, who during all this owned Dream Style Remodeling, and he was telling me he had a large call center where he had a lot of employees. Let's just say 40 employees.
Sure.
And when that shut down, he was going like, oh man, this is going to be really hurtful, right? And so, they had to work remotely. Well, I remember him telling me that just the opposite happened. The people that on the remotely, they had better results than when they had the call center in one location. So, a happy employee sometimes is very productive. And it's kind of not of the norm when you grow up thinking that somebody has to come to a brick and mortar and you got to be there at 8 and leave at 5 and all that good stuff. I think there's a little bit of flexibility that people are now more adjusted to. At the end of the day, employers are looking for employees for results. And I think employers go, we can work with anything just as long as we get the results. But sometimes, some employees are, they want more than what they're getting, and they think they can get it outside somehow.
Yeah.
So.
And going back to crime, I mean, I just don't understand these broken windows. Does that make any sense to you? What kind of person is going around and just breaking windows over and over? I mean, it's just bizarre to me that the city's, I don't know if it's passed or just being a proposal at this point, but actually considering a grant program to help businesses pay for their windows when they get broken. Yeah. So it's such a bizarre issue.
Isn't that amazing? There's that program to do that because it happens so often. It's so prevalent. It's just amazing to think that you can be in a store like a Walgreens, and it happens all the time, where people are just walking out. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to go to a store and see things that you think, why is that locked up? So it's really changed a lot, and nothing that I think has really good about it. So I know crime is the biggest issue, I think, in Albuquerque and New Mexico that we have to face. And I'm hopeful that, let me just say this. A couple of years ago, the Hispano Chamber said, we're going to dive into crime and kind of figure things out as best we can. So we met like 15 straight Monday evenings, and we had people come and speak, Supreme Court justices, district attorneys, police. We had specialists in crime. We had all kinds of folks talking about crime. And you know what we found out is that there's not a silver bullet. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of things that cause things that you wouldn't expect to happen. And we complain about people being on the street. COVID affected that a lot because there was distancing. You couldn't have courtrooms. They couldn't use courtrooms that were close to each other, and so all of a sudden the case studies, all of a sudden people have to get let go because they couldn't do the case and whatever it was. I mean, there's all kinds of stupid things that were going on, and I don't mean stupid, but and then we just know that a lot of times the law enforcement agencies, in different regions of New Mexico could talk together better and communicate better because sometimes something's happening there to expect what's going to happen maybe in Albuquerque or Santa Fe or somewhere. And we know there's several crimes that have occurred, and if there was better communication between different law enforcement agencies, things might have been okay. It's not easy. I mean, it's not. I'm telling you, if you ever try to do a flow chart of crime, it'll take up a huge whiteboard.
Yeah. And how, when we talk about how that crime affects businesses, it's not just the occasional broken window or the theft charges, but insurance rates go up and they struggle to pay. And on top of that, I think a lot of businesses right now are seeing rents go up, that sort of thing. I mean, it's just kind of a compounding problem.
It's a compounding problem. So you have higher cost of insurance, rents are going up. Whenever you have something happen in your business that's people get a little worried about going shopping in your business, let's say, because something happened, they read about it, heard about it, saw about it on the news. So it hurts them that way. And it's no fault of their own. They're business people that are just trying to sell their product, whatever it is. So there are things out of business people's control that really affect an entrepreneur and negatively. And it's so sad because, they have a lot invested in that. They generally have their heart and soul as well as financial. Yeah. Very, very difficult for them. Okay. But you know what? We love them. And, small businesses, when we have gatherings of small businesses, it is a lot. It's a delight. Everybody is having fun. Everybody supports each other, especially members. We do a lot of member-to-member things at the chamber. So we support our members to make sure that they support other members in whatever they're doing in the businesses that they purchase or use and all that stuff. And it's a joy when you see people have success. And, when you read about it in some of your articles about a certain company that's growing, having another store on the other side of the town or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the excitement you get when you're at the chamber and you see people become very successful. It's a joy.
Okay. As we get kind of closer to wrapping things up, do you have as far as like a legislative priority or just a change that you would, if you could make one change to help your members and businesses in New Mexico, what do you think that would be?
So first, I got to do a shameless plug. We have a Hispanic Heritage Awards banquet October 10th. Okay. We're still looking for people to buy tables and sponsors. We have 11 different categories. It's a beautiful evening. It's at Hotel Albuquerque, 5:30 on October 10th. Here's what I would say. Leave us alone for a while. Mm-hmm. During COVID, they passed a paid medical leave act, paid sick leave act. During COVID, when people were in even business, which is very difficult because people that wanted to advocate against it or try to modify it so it would work better didn't have a chance to because it was all through Zoom meetings. It really is not the effective way of really communicating. So I would say right now, as far as on legislative, one, do no harm anymore. Try to help the employers. They will help the employees. Try to help the employers. And also offer ways to help them help their employees. I mean, if there's small grants to help small businesses grow and scale, it is very difficult for small businesses to be successful unless they get access to capital. And access to capital for small businesses generally is family or friends.
Yeah.
And they need other institutions to help them, be successful. Grants from the city, grants from the state are helpful to small businesses because it'll be paid back in spades with their success. So that's what I would suggest.
And Ernie, you're a native New Mexican. Are you? What's your answer to red or green?
Christmas.
Okay, Christmas. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm just not that picky. I tell you, I do like green chili cheeseburgers, so I don't usually have red chili cheeseburgers.
Sure, yeah, that's kind of.
But I love the huevos rancheros at Borellis or Garcia's, and that's red and green. So all the good stuff. Yeah.
And I do want to ask you because I think CdeBaca is one of the most unique New Mexico names out there. What's the? But some of you spell it differently with words and things like that.
It's been messed up, and now during technology, it even screws it up more. Cabeza de Vaca, Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca was an explorer in the 1500s that was shipwrecked. It is now known around Brownsville. And he traveled all through Texas and was thought of by the Native Americans as being a miracle man, a medicine man, because he was able to heal people. He and I think just 2 other people survived that shipwreck. He was crowned Cabeza de Vaca by the king of Spain when he returned to Spain. And that's the origination of the name. However, I might be related to Bacas, to DeBacas, and to Cabeza de Vacas. And I'm a CdeBaca with an apostrophe, but I don't use the apostrophe anymore because of computers.
Oh, you don't?
It screws all that. No, you can't. Anytime I tell somebody on the phone or anytime you put stuff in, I put CDE, which really baffles people on the phone. They go, wait, there's something between the C and the D, right? No, because it's the way it is. But thank you for asking.
Okay, cool. No, so and that's an important because I didn't know we got rid of the apostrophe.
I've done it. I mean, there's no form I could put it on. It's weird. It's just weird. Yeah.
Noted. Well, me and my business reporters will make a note of that. So there's some consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Ernie, it's always great talking to you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for your work, and we'll thanks for being our guest.
I read the Journal every day, Ryan. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining us. You can find this episode and all our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you enjoy our podcasts, please like and subscribe, and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us continue to bring you more content like this. See the show notes for a discount on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading local news source.